Right now, we are going through one of the most transformative periods of our lifetime, and it's driven by the demand for critical minerals. One of the minerals that is at the center of this transformative period is, of course, lithium, and it is driving the electric revolution. As a result of this, there are new superpowers which are arising, particularly in the Asian market. Today, we're going to be talking about why Asia's demand is so high for lithium resources and of course critical minerals in general, and what this means for global demand. Let's take a look. How's it going, guys? Ryan here and welcome back to another lithium video. Today we're going to be talking about the significant increase in the rise of demand for lithium in Asian countries. Now, kicking things off, why are we seeing such a big demand for this material in particular, and of course critical metals overall? Well, it's really due to the fact that countries such as China and India, which have very significant populations, in fact some of the biggest in the world, are now becoming significantly more modern and urbanized. As a result, we are seeing demand for products that contain lithium batteries. So we're talking simple things, of course, such as smartphones, laptops, tablets, and of course we are seeing the introduction now of new sort of things such as electric vehicles, which are increasing in demand globally and of course significantly as well in Asia. That is resulting in a massive amount of demand for lithium as a material. Now, of course, we are seeing this demand grow globally, not just in Asia, but when we are looking at the Asian market in particular, we can see that this demand is absolutely surging, and it's realistically due to those population sizes that are urbanizing and modernizing. Why is this such a hot topic though at the moment? Well, it really comes down to the fact that we see very small areas of concentrated supply, and as a result of this, limited supply of lithium as a material. When we look at lithium globally, the vast majority of production comes down to three key locations: Australia, Chile, and Argentina. Now, mines are starting to open up a bit more frequently now, and we are seeing that supply level increase, but quite simply, the level of demand is outpacing supply tenfold. It is absolutely insane. As a result of this, the global supply of lithium is unable to keep up with demand, resulting in rising prices. We have seen insane prices up to roughly $70,000 USD per ton of this stuff, and that is resulting, of course, in stocks rising in value that are in this lithium space, who are producing and mining lithium and lithium carbonate, lithium hydroxide, whether that be both in, the original spodumene format, of course, as well as brine-based lithium, and those companies which are manufacturing the lithium side of things when it comes to hydroxide and carbonate that are used in these batteries. Even though we can find lithium all around the world, what we need to focus on is battery grade materials. So we are talking levels of over 99% when it comes to purity of lithium carbonate and lithium hydroxide. The higher the purity level, the easier it is to put into things such as lithium ion batteries. Now, this is hard to achieve when you have original raw resources that have low levels of lithium. So for example, when we are looking at hard rock based lithium, what we're aiming for is around that 1.5% mark when we're mining the spodumene out of the ground. That will then get processed into a 6% lithium byproduct as a result, and then of course we need to get up to that battery grade level as well. So it really comes down to what is the grade of the resource in the ground at the point of mining. As a result, the cost of which will be affected greatly. Now, when we're looking at stocks in particular, what we're aiming for is looking at companies that do have those high grade materials and of course do have large amounts of it. These are the companies that we are seeing perform very well. A couple of examples being Pilbara Minerals or Albemarle. They have major resources at high grades which are able to produce that battery grade material that people are looking for around the globe. So what is causing such a big increase in demand? Well, as we know, in both Western and Eastern markets, we are seeing demand is growing and governments are focusing on attaining those materials such as lithium and other critical materials in order to enable the supply levels to, I suppose, not be so constrained by the sheer levels of demand. But there are a few key reasons that we need to focus on, which the Asian market in particular is really driving. Firstly, we need to look at the consumer products as I mentioned. Things simply such as smartphones, tablets, electric vehicles, where in places such as India and Asia, they are becoming significantly more in demand by the consumers within those markets. Due to the sizes of their populations, we're seeing that demand constraints are in place a lot due to supply. Supply is realistically constraining us due to the fact that there's not necessarily not enough lithium, it's the processing power and the ability to attain that battery grade material that these companies in these places are after in order to produce those products. Secondly, let's focus a bit more deeper on the electric vehicle market itself. The Asian electric vehicle market is huge, and if we look at China in particular, they are the largest automotive market in the world. And in fact, the Chinese government has set that all new vehicle sales by 2025 must consist of at least a 20% target being electric vehicles. That is a massive number when you look at the population and of course the demand for vehicles in these countries. If we then turn to another country such as India, you can see the rise in bikes or electric scooters that are powered by lithium ion batteries. These vast populations and just the sheer targets that are being put in place by countries such as China are going to significantly increase demand, of course, with constrained levels of supply that we're already seeing. As a result, we're likely to see rises in the price of lithium and of course, rises in the value of stocks in the lithium market, particularly the miners and the processors of lithium themselves. One of the key reasons why we're seeing that the Asian market is going to be the superpower in this area is due to their manufacturing capability. If we look to Asian manufacturers, we have companies such as LG, such as Samsung, such as CATL, such as BYD, that are all expanding their production to try and keep up with the demand for lithium battery based products. As a result, these are the driving factors that are resulting in the rise in demand for lithium and of course constraining those supply levels significantly as a result of just simply not having enough material to produce to the levels that they need to satisfy their customers. This really drives up the price of lithium and you can see that these companies become very valuable and they start to produce more and more of these materials that are in demand and that governments are sort of leaning towards now, as opposed to traditional type materials and products where we have fuel-based or I suppose carbon-based material being mined and used in order to make them function. Now, whilst we see that countries such as China, such as Korea are smart in that they have the manufacturing capability, they are also focusing on getting involved in other areas of the supply chain. What you'll see is countries such as China and Chinese companies in particular investing directly in the lithium miners themselves, in fact even taking major stakes or overall ownership of certain companies in order to basically make sure that they do have supply in place to feed the manufacturing industry in these Asian countries. Taking over such a large portion of the market or the overall supply chain in both the manufacturing and of course the mining and processing space is going to lead Asia, in particular the Chinese market, to be a powerhouse or a superpower in the lithium market, and it's going to give them a large amount of control of this. So what we're seeing is a lot of money from these Asian governments being put straight into the lithium industry in all facets, whether it be mining, whether it be processing, or whether it be manufacturing those components or final products that are then sold to consumers, which is generating significant amounts of revenue. The Asian market is certainly looking forward into the future when we're talking about the demands of consumers when it comes to lithium and battery based products, and as a result are making a very smart decision when it comes to investing in the overall supply chain. Western markets and Western governments unfortunately are lacking that forward thinking, and they have not gone to the same level of investment and research into getting involved in the entire supply chain when it comes to lithium. As a result of this puts Asian markets such as China in a very, very powerful position when we see globally targets are being put in place by governments to hit certain levels of pure EV sales, for example, in their own retrospective markets. This basically gives the control of the price of lithium to China or other Asian countries which are involved, resulting in them becoming basically a controlling stake in the market when it comes to lithium, which is of course quite scary for those Western governments who are behind when it comes to getting involved. Now, for the average person or the average investor, what can you do to really take advantage of this sheer demand that we're seeing, and of course the current supply constraints? Well, it's quite simple. Do a bit of research and look into what's going on in the overall market at all. I've shown you a few little snippets of why Asia in particular is going to be a superpower. If we're looking at one country specifically, more than likely China being that key superpower when it comes to control over these critical materials, and of course lithium specifically. But what you want to be doing is looking at companies involved in the lithium industry. So first and foremost, look at your miners. Look at those companies which are both mining hard rock based lithium and of course mining brine based lithium as well. Look at the countries such as Australia, Chile and Argentina that have companies that are dedicated and performing very well already, or potentially are upcoming in this sort of industry. This will really allow you to gain a foothold and take advantage of the rising lithium prices that we are currently seeing, and of course are surely going to see more of moving down the track in the future. Now, of course, miners are not the only area to focus on. Look at companies in particular that are converting this material. So companies that are processing the lithium as a raw material into lithium carbonate and lithium hydroxide at battery grade levels. This is really where the money is, and this is, I suppose, where that 70 grand US mark I talked about previously comes from. We are going to see that this space is critical, and it is currently the bottleneck for the overall deficit in supply of the market. This is therefore where the value really does lie. So if you can find a company that does, of course, the mining as well as the processing, surely if they have a high enough a grade resource and a large enough resource and cash reserves and very, very smart decision makers at their helm, you are going to see these stocks rise in value over time. This is something I highly, highly recommend you do your research on and look at, because it is a very, very incredible opportunity. And in my opinion, it's something that we haven't missed out on yet. So basically what I'm saying is, yes, we have seen massive, massive runs of lithium companies, but this is, in my opinion, only the beginning. We are going to see the demand for lithium skyrocket due to the electric and the battery revolution that we are seeing and the rise in those Asian superpowers in the market over the next decade or so. That wraps up today's video, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the overall lithium market and the demand driven by Asia in particular down in the comments section below. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure you do leave a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of this sort of content, hit subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. I'll leave it there for today, guys. I hope you have an awesome day. I'll see you next time. Cheers.